Hey guys, welcome back to a long-awaited episode of the Atlantic Strong podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Dickens, and tonight I've got Cole Hobson, who is the New Brunswick Powerlifting Chair for Registration and Public Relations Social Media. And what we're going to do is recap the 2021 CPU Easterns that happened the weekend before last in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Jeff Butt was the meet director. We're going to go over the results. Cole was there, lifting, handling lifters, volunteering for MBPL. So let's get right into it. Cole, how's it going?
Oh, going well, thanks.
You just got done training?
Yeah, I was lifting out there in the garage just 20 minutes ago. Yep.
What were you doing tonight?
I was doing deadlifts and bench today, so there's some pull variations like deficit and pause and stuff like
that. Do you do your own programming? No, you've got a coach, don't you?
I have had a coach for the last little while. I'm going back to my own just for the next little bit while I figure out what's next. But yeah, I was with Chris Fudge there for a while, who's a coach out in Ottawa. He's a good life trainer as well, but also has a fair number of powerlifting clients, high level clients, as well as his, general population type people. So he has kind of like a vast range, vast bit of experience, I guess, in different avenues.
Right on. So you're programming for yourself right now, nothing on the horizon, no meets coming up?
Still toying with the idea of potentially doing the super quick turnaround because NB Provincials is December 11th, which is only 5 weeks after Easterns, which at my age probably isn't the best idea, but I just enjoy doing meets so much that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, that's the next meet that is on the calendar. Whether or not I'm going to do it or just be there helping, volunteering, etc., is remaining to be seen, I guess, at this time.
It's hard not to want to do a meet that's only an hour drive away. That's
exactly
like I'm doing Atlantic Canada's Strongest Man on November 27th, and I'm going to do New Brunswick Powerlifting Provincials because 2 weeks after that, really because it's in Moncton, it's right there. We don't have a whole lot of meets local to us throughout the year. I think this is only the second one in New Brunswick this year, so it's hard to turn down the opportunity to train or to do a competition and not have to spend any money to get there or stay over or do whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna be there anyway. Tough. Like I usually find when I'm at a meet, I compete. Deadlift start. I just wish I was competing, but I don't know. We'll see.
Right on. So we're going to talk about Easterns. That was a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. You were there. You competed. You were handling lifters from your team as well.
I didn't really have a lot of people going. There weren't a lot of people at Easterns that were people I trained with or anything. So I was helping some people in the background, but nothing specifically handling wise.
From all accounts, from you and other people, it was a really good meet. It was well run. There were some big numbers put up. I think there was definitely provincial records broken, maybe some national records broken as well. How was the meet for you competing?
For me, competing was good. It was kind of just a win for me to just get back to the platform healthy. I had been planning to do the Port City Showdown there in May, the last NBPL meet we had in St. John, and about 4 weeks out, I tweaked my back, and it turned out to not be so minor. So I ended up only doing bench only for that meet, and then was kind of like building over the summer to try to get back. I mean, there was one point where I couldn't even squat 225 without pain. So just to be able to get back to the platform was good. And the meet itself was fine. I knew I wasn't going to win or place or anything, well behind some of the 105s in the division, but I went 8 for 9 and set a couple of PRs and PR'd my total. So I was just happy to kind of push the ball forward a bit and be healthy and be back ready to hit some bigger numbers for next time, I guess.
Right on. So we'll just start. I've got all the meet results here, and we'll just start going through through the first place winners of each category. Abby Hannaran, female sub junior 63 class with a 265 total. Isabella Nolan, female sub junior 69 class, 285 total. Emily McNeil, junior female 69, 345 total. Erin Chason, female junior 76 class, 410 total. Erin Cadigan, female juniors 84 class, 395 total. Leah Gregory, junior female 84 plus with a 390 total. Kara Au, who is also on the board for New Brunswick powerlifting, right?
Yeah, she's the secretary for New Brunswick powerlifting as well. So most of our board is actually there, either competing, volunteering, handling. So yeah,
Awesome.
she is also.
She won her class, 52 kilo open with 300 kilo total. Wow. 110 squat, 65 bench, 125 deadlift. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's very strong.
Sarah Strickland won the open 63s with 307 and a half. The next class, Michaela Law was the best female open, as well as winning her class, the 69 open females, with 407 and a half. That's awesome. 150 kilo squat, 97.5 bench, 160 kilo deadlift for best female.
Yeah, Michaela is one of those ones who kind of had to decide which way to go with the weight class, because for a while she was kind of the most dominant 72 in Atlantic Canada and definitely Nova Scotia. And then with the weight class change now to 69 and 76, she obviously could have gone up or down. And so this was obviously her first meet at 69. And it seems the dropping the weight worked very well. She went 9 for 9 and put up good numbers. So it seems like she's on her way to being top of that class as well.
Yeah. The next one was Caitlin Armour, won the open 76s with a 402.5 total. And you train with Caitlin, right?
I have not much lately, but she is also on our board as well. She's the vice president of New Brunswick powerlifting. She was one of the ones that I'm supporting there as well. So yeah, she's a friend of mine.
Awesome. Kate Ryan from PEI won the 84 female open with 380 kilo total. Then Morgan, Caitlin Armour's sister, Morgan Armour, won the 84 plus female open with a 410 total. And then Paula Roberts, who won best female masters, won her class, 57 masters won with 388.5. She's a really impressive lifter. She was also at Charlotte County Strongest Man and Woman back in the summer, and I think she came the second or third, despite giving up a pretty big size advantage to some of the other competitors.
Yeah, she was second, I think, in that actually, which is incredible, as you say.
Yeah.
She set some national records as well for the M1 category in this meet as well. Her squat, I believe, is a national record, and her deadlift definitely is at 176, the odd number there. And yeah, she's incredible. She's part of the group they have down there, Moncton Los Muchos Estables, the new training group with Mark Crandall, Steve Cormier, RJ Forbes, Paula, Pat Stadler, like just a super strong group there with a great setup. So I would expect potential national podiums in her future, I would imagine.
Yeah, and shout out to Paula and her husband who own Fenrir Strength Equipment, who's been for the past year or so been manufacturing garage gym equipment and strongman stuff and stuff for CrossFit Games. We used a bunch of his equipment at Charlotte County Strongest Man. It was great stuff.
Yeah, I can't decide what I want him to make me, but I know I want him to make me something as a garage gym addict myself. I'm just like, what could I get him to build? Because yeah, you look at the stuff and it's definitely good quality.
Yeah, I mean, having all I can think is having a custom made rack for my basement. That's what I want.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Get it right up against the floor joists in my basement. Be awesome.
You should do it.
I'm toying with the idea, but I've got I don't know. I can't overhead. I can't do standing overhead press in the basement, and then I don't want to put strongman stuff down there because then I gotta. If I want to do anything with it outside, I got to drag it up the stairs. So I'm kind of torn on whether to even start building a basement gym again or not.
You don't have anything there right all at the gym?
No, it's all over at Strive Fitness. I've got my tires at home and some throwing sandbags and a couple stones, but everything else is over at the gym.
Right.
So moving on with the female masters, Michelle Hardwood won the 63 class with 355. Jerry Monroe from PEI won the 69. Female masters won with 362.5. Robbie McLean won 76s with 277.5. Nadine Barter won the 84 with 265. Nikki Constantine wins the 57 Masters 2 with 242.5. And Bowmaster wins 63 Masters 2 with 250. Jennifer Nakashima wins the 84 Masters 2 with 280. Linda Burns, 84 plus Masters 2 with 335. Maureen McEwen with 240 to win the 52 Masters 3. Fran Harris wins the 63 Masters 3 with 270. Jerry Howlett, 69 Masters 3 with 220. Gail St. Croix, 76 Masters 3 with 243. Odd number in there, so she must have got provincial or national record.
Yeah, it would have been national because you weren't able to chip provincial records at this meet. So any of the irregular numbers would be national. And there was a lot with the masters and the juniors and the sub juniors. Like, I wish I had a list for you, but there was a lot of national records being set. So that was definitely
It looks like she must have set a national squat record with 95.5 in the 76 Masters 3.
Yep.
And then in the 84 plus Masters 3, Sue Bonneau with a 293 total. So she would have gotten a national record in the squat with 118.
Yeah, she did. That's Grandma Sue there. She definitely had a good day and a good squat as well. She's a well-known lifter to many of the people. Just a great presence at every meet.
So moving on to the males, we've got Owen Voicey wins 74 sub juniors with 445. Tristan Robotham wins 83 sub juniors with 610. Declan Hines wins 93 sub juniors with 370. Eric Webb, 105 sub juniors with 322.5. Aiden Davis wins 120 plus with 690. Geez, 690 is a sub junior. 245 squats, so 540-ish squat, 255 deadlift, so 560-ish deadlift. Wow. Aiden Davis.
If I remember correctly, I think that was a guy. There was one guy there, and every time he was going up to the platform and he was yelling power, and it was like so intense. I'm not sure if that was him, but I think that that was him. And he was just like, he pumped the crowd up because he would get up there every time and like scream power. His last deadlift, it looks like, was a 278 national attempt. He did miss it, but the crowd was just like going off when he like screamed, like not even like talking, like yelling or like muttering, like screaming power before he'd run on the platform. It was something to see.
Yeah, I mean, though, for a 120 plus sub junior, those are some crazy numbers. 245, so like I said, 540 ish squat, 190 kilo bench, which is 415, 417 around there.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Wow. So,
I know.
Joel,
It's just those Newfoundland kids. There were so many like young Newfoundland lifters, and you see the gyms that they have, and it's not like regular gyms where people do powerlifting. They have like powerlifting gyms, and it kind of comes across that I would say Newfoundland is like the Atlantic, Canada hub of powerlifting in terms of total number of lifters, strong lifters, like young lifters, especially. Like they just have so many like juniors, sub juniors coming up the ranks, and it's something that's pretty well supported, it seems, by people like, Jeff Butt, 709, and the different meets that they have up there.
yeah. So, moving from sub junior males to junior males, Joel Lanier wins 66 juniors with 455. Ralph Dredge wins 74 juniors with 380. Ethan Reed wins 83 juniors with 552 and a half. And here's a big one. Jacob Pickle wins his division, the 93 kilos, and best junior with 715 total.
Yeah, Jacob's a guy I trained with before. He's a friend of mine, and he's got a lot of potential. Like most meets he does, his total's been going up every meet. He's done 3 or 4 meets, and it's just like a lot of what he does looks effortless. And that's another guy that I think has some. He is planning to go to nationals in Newfoundland this March, and he definitely has some podium potential in his future as a junior because he's still got another year or two, I think, until he turns 23. So
Yeah. Yeah, Jacob, he came second in the novice under 220s at New Brunswick Strongest Man. Really impressive lifter. I mean, 255 squat, 170 bench, and 290 deadlift, closing in pretty fast on a 300 kilo deadlift.
yeah, for sure. I think he was actually second overall in the meet for total good lift points, only behind Justin Quadrado. So not just from juniors, but he was pretty close to best overall lifter as well.
Wow. So then the 105 juniors, Derek Dion wins with 692 and a half. Terry Trevors wins 120s with 715. Tyler Levette, and then moving on into open. So Tyler Levette wins 66 kilo class with 465. And then the 83 open winner, Justin Quadrado, who won his class with 707.5, also won best open male. Also really impressive, especially at 83 kilos, 255 squat, 167 and a half bench, and 285 deadlift.
Yeah, I mean he's been a top maritime lifter for quite some time, and I think it's funny too. You look at Steve Cormier, number 2 in that class. So Steve has done he's done 3 meets. He unfortunately bombed his first meet, but his second meet he came second, and he came second to Guillaume LeBlanc, who, as we know, is literally one of the best in the world at 83.
Yeah.
And then this, he was again one of the top lifters in the entire meet, but he's second to Justin Quadrado, who was the best lifter in the entire meet for male. So Steve's another guy that closing in on age 40, he's definitely, especially once he turns to masters, he will be a force at Masters 1 at that weight class. He's incredible talent.
Yeah, I mean, so I was at the Port City Showdown, and so was Steve. And I said to somebody who wasn't in the know, I said, that's one of the best athletes you will ever meet in your entire life. And I said, what? I said, Steve Cormier is one of the best athletes you will ever meet in your entire life in person. He played for years and years and years in the Maritime Football League. I played against him, actually. I played for the St. John Wanderers. He played for the Riverview Moncton Mustangs. Just unbelievable athlete. Unbelievable. He played running back for the Mustangs. Just amazing, amazing football player.
Yeah, no, I played in the Moncton Flag Football League, and he was in that as well. And I always joked he's one of the guys that can run faster backwards than I can forward. So yeah, he's kind of athletic.
Yeah, a little bit. So moving on to the 93 opens, we've got Evan Collins wins with 660. And then the 105 opens. Who's this guy? Joseph Benoit, never heard of her, wins with 712.5.
Yeah, he's all right at squatting, I guess. But
He's all right at squatting. He looks terrible.
you said it, not me.
He is just a terrible looking person with a pretty good squat. His bench is getting decent, thank God. And he's got a good deadlift. So once again, Joseph Benoit comes out, wins his weight class. Really not that far behind on GL points from the top of the pack.
Yeah, he was up there. He broke his own provincial record, pushed it up further there with his squat. 277.5 was a little better than he had done, I think, for provincial record. Could be wrong, but I think possibly, yes. Yeah, 276 was his previous record, so he put that up by 1.5.
Yeah, his squat is great, and his bench, since I've been around, his bench has come way ahead.
It's all that.
It's all that DQ.
Wendy's, yeah, it all helps.
Yeah. And he's his deadlift has not ever been that far behind his squat. I mean, his squat is really good, but still to come up with a 265 deadlift after squatting 277.5, it's pretty good. I mean, just an awful looking man.
Yeah, he was very close.
Like a potato with a bad haircut.
I should have been more prepared with Joe slams.
Yeah, I was talking to him a little bit today. He might come and do the meet in Moncton.
Yeah, he was mentioning that too. He's a guy that just seems to turn it around every time and have a 700 kg plus total, no matter how close his next meet is. It doesn't seem to matter, but he's always kind of consistent with his meets, and he does them all. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he does it. He was, I think, originally doing Nova Scotia provincials, which is November 27th. So that's literally, it would have been like 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it was after Eastern. So
yeah.
And even
so moving on. So the not a lot of depth this meet in open 120s and 120 plus. Only 2 guys in the 120. Michael McKenzie wins with a 670 total, and Kevin Fowler wins the 120 plus with 730. But there's only 2 in the 120s and 2 in the 120 plus this go around.
It was interesting. I don't know location, but I feel like there'd probably be more lifters if it had been in the Halifax area, or even something like Moncton, which is more central to, Sydney's a bit of a trek. But by the same token, this meet, because of COVID, did not have any qualifying totals. So you're getting extra people that weren't even meeting the regional qualifier, because that's not in effect this year, because there hasn't been meets. There hasn't been much chance for people to qualify and compete locally. So
yeah, I mean 125, 126 lifters for regionals is pretty deep. I think compared to the past couple of years,
yeah, I mean, it's there's a give and take. I mean, it is nice when it is only the qualified lifters, but at the same time, we just don't have the numbers in Atlantic Canada, because you go to Eastern Championships and people can win their weight class with beating one person, and it's all well good. But I think the people that win probably feel better if they beat 4 or 5 people, or have some sort of competition, even if it is some of the people that are lower. It's better to have your buddy ask you, "Oh, you won your meet. How many people did you beat?" None or one. Versus 5 or 6 in a class is nice, even if it's a wide range of totals. So
I just don't tell them anything. I say,
right, yeah.
I beat everybody that showed up.
That's exactly it.
And I haven't competed in a full meet in a couple of years, but I did 2 or 3 meets where I was the only 120 plus from New Brunswick. But guess what? I beat everybody that showed up.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, those numbers will come up, I guess, but it's just so different than like Centrals, for example, or like the Ontario, where they probably have 10 times the number of lifters we have. So, I mean, if they opened it up to no qualifying totals, I mean, they'd have like 500 people in their meets. So they
Yeah.
do need those totals. And even with qualifying totals, for every Joe Benoit in Atlantic Canada, there's, 10 of them in Ontario who are going to be at that level or squatting, that amount of weight type of thing. So
Yeah,
it's
and I
just,
think when COVID does decide to calm down, I think with the growth of the sport, especially in Atlantic Canada, in the coming years, we'll see that um, number of lifters that qualify for regionals grow. I think we're on the cusp of getting pretty good depth at regionals in the next couple of years. Just from watching social media and seeing people training and training to compete and competing, I think definitely an upward trend in participation coming up.
yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of new lifters in New Brunswick and more registrations. We started out it's still obviously a fairly small organization, but NBPL is definitely growing and seeing a lot of new lifters every meet. So I think it takes time. I mean, especially since this iteration of NBPL was only back for, 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years hosting meets, but eventually you will see those numbers go up and more competitive lifters and higher caliber lifters.
Yeah, I mean we voted to install the current version of NBPL at Easterns in 2017. So, and they didn't really get up and running until April of 2018 when they had the New Brunswick Nova Scotia combined junior provincials. So we're still talking, three solid years
Mm-hmm.
with membership growing every year. The meets have been great. Participation's been really good. So I think things are really looking up. I think in New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with COVID. Like if there wasn't COVID, I think the numbers would be even higher than what they have been. But we're still seeing people coming out despite the regulations, the restrictions, the lack of meets canceled. We've been fortunate enough to have some meets in New Brunswick, but other provinces haven't been as lucky with that.
Yeah. So moving on with the results into the Masters, Greg Pike wins the 74 Masters 1 with 502.5. Matthew Miller wins 83 Master 1 with 470. John Cadigan wins 93 Masters 1 with 545. Another Riverview / Moncton Mustang alum, Mark Crandall, wins the 105 Masters 1 with 650. Another great athlete, great lifter, part of that Muchachos crew. 215 squat, 185. So he breaks 400 in a meet, 185 bench, and ends with a 550 deadlift.
Yeah, Mark's a great guy. Obviously, he's building something pretty good in Moncton too, so that's pretty exciting to see because that gym hasn't been around long, but they're going to attract more lifters and more quality lifters too. So that's pretty exciting, and he's
Yeah.
always a great meets.
And moving on to El Presidente, RJ Forbes wins the 120 plus Masters 1 with 747.5, and he also wins best Masters male for the whole meet with 285 squat, 175 bench, and 287.5 deadlift.
Yeah, he had a great day. He didn't have a good bench day. He only went 1 for 3. I know he wasn't too happy with his bench, but he set a PR in squat and a PR in deadlift. So, and obviously won the best Masters. So, yeah, that was definitely a great performance from him.
Yeah, I had said I think I commented on the post that that 285 squat, which looked really, really, really good, um, was a far cry from his 272.5 fourth attempt at Eastern's 2017. This is a guy that's uh, well into his 40s now. That's getting better every year.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's definitely a powerhouse and he's got the Highland Games thing on his side too, which obviously doesn't hurt the powerlifting too much when he's able to focus on one or the other.
Yeah. So in Masters 2, Neil White wins the 74 class with 375. Andy Burns wins 93 with 447.5. Rod Temple wins 120 plus with 425. And in Masters 3, Charles Lay wins 83 with 412.5. Don Cormier wins the 93s with 475. And Alan Profit, Dr. Alan Profit wins the Masters 3 105 with 520. And for those of you that don't know or didn't listen to the Atlantic Strong podcast with Jordan Profit, that's Jordan Profit's father, Alan, who's I believe, an orthopedic surgeon over on PEI. Don't quote me on that. He is a doctor. Yeah, 160 squat, 130 bench, and 230 deadlift. Masters 3, which is over 60, right?
Correct. Yeah. 40, Masters 2 over 50, and Masters 3 over 60. Yep. And I think you forgot one actually, Jordan, too. I was going through the list as you did in men raw 66, Masters 2, Phil Brown, downtown Phil Brown, which is definitely not one to miss at a meet anytime.
Yeah, that's right. It's actually not on the spreadsheet from the powerlifting.ca website.
Oh, that's weird. Anyway, yeah, Phil was there doing his Ultimate Warrior dance up to the platform on deadlifts, and he actually qualified for nationals as well, which he was super excited for. So anyone who's been to a meet in Atlantic Canada probably knows Phil, and he's a great guy. So that was pretty awesome to see too.
Awesome. So it looks like there was only one person competed equipped for a full meet, and that was Simon Park. He's a 105 junior. He got a 265 squat, 145 bench, 240 deadlift. Then in the Special Olympics, oh, there's Phil right there under Special Olympics.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cameron Gordon wins the 93 juniors with 412.5. Phil Brown, Masters 2, 66 kilo with 367.5. And then we get into the bench only, which Meg Turner wins the 63 kilo opens with 72.5. Morgan Armour, who won best female bench only, wins the 84 with 87.5. Heather Wolf wins 76 Masters 1 with 75. Nadine Barter wins 84 Masters 1 with 60. Tanner Constantine wins 66 kilo juniors with 82.5. Karen Gordon wins 93 juniors with 112.5. Alex Marriott wins 120 juniors with 162.5. Then Christian McLean wins best male bench only as a 105 with 172.5. Robert Julian wins 120s with 152.5. Mark McPhail wins 105 with 165. Phil Brown wins a 66 Masters 2 with 60 kilos. Tillman Gallant wins 83 Masters 4 with 127.5. And then there were two people to compete in equipped bench press only. Linda Burns, female Masters 2, 84 kilos with 90 kilo press, and Chad Sinclair bombed out as a 105 open. And that's the results.
Indeed, it was three good days of powerlifting. It was quite a fun weekend for someone like me who's kind of a powerlifting nerd. So yeah, it was a really well run event.
Awesome. What was your highlight from the whole thing?
Just I don't know. Again, just the fact with literally COVID up until like 2 days before, you're worried about a new restriction or a new whatever. So just to get there and to see everyone that I haven't seen, and in this case, it was the first meet I've really been to, first regionals I've been to. So I was getting to meet some of the Newfoundland lifters and PEI lifters who aren't necessarily at our meets, because, you know, we see a lot of Nova Scotia lifters and obviously New Brunswick lifters. So just the fact that it happened, I guess, as crazy as that sounds, but in COVID era, I mean, that's just a win on its own. So just being there for a few days of powerlifting and catching up with some old friends and new friends alike.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about just a couple weeks ago. I canceled the St. John Fall Friendly. Zane Nicholson canceled Atlantic Canada's Strongest Teams. Two strongman competitions supposed to happen in October because of COVID restrictions. And I mean, you had to drop out of New Brunswick Strongest Man because of COVID. So it's been a really tough year for wanting to train and try to compete in anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think strength sports who hasn't been impacted in one way or the other, whether it's a cancel competition or closed gyms. I mean, you know, having a garage gym, I'm very fortunate, but some people just, not even be able to lift normally as they normally would. It's probably will never go back to normal again, but I mean, we're just trying to find our way now. And thankfully some competitions are coming and it's sort of normal aside from the masks and all the other stuff, but
Yeah. What was it about RJ not handling a lifter and telling him to YOLO his deadlift?
yeah, so I might, but this was one of the funny stories I thought from Eastern. So it was in the 105 class. Mark Totten, who was a New Brunswick lifter, he was in competition for third. He was kind of close to the podium, and RJ doesn't really know him, but knew he was a New Brunswick lifter. He was watching the score sheet because he was in the back handling Steve Cormier. And so he went up to Mark and he said he saw his third deadlift attempt, and he says, "I think you need to pull more to be able to get to third." And Mark, I mean, super nice guy, but just basically trusted him and said, okay. So RJ went and changed his attempt. And then RJ like kind of second guessed and thought he needed to pull more. So he goes, "I think you need to pull more." And so he ended up making the second, because obviously you have two deadlift changes. So he made both the deadlift changes. And then the guy that he was competing with for third missed his third. So he didn't actually need as much as he had loaded. And RJ like went to Natasha Ching, who was there working as an official on the side, and told her like, "Oh, I think I messed up. I put in both changes. Is there any way I can change it?" She's like, "Obviously not." So because he had pulled 551, I'm just going to talk in pounds, 551 pounds on his second, and then they put in the jump to 606 pounds. And Mark's a buddy of mine, and I know from training, the most he had pulled in training was 540. And so Mark just went along with it. Like, he's like, okay, whatever, load the bar. And then you see in the back, like RJ slamming the ammonia in his face, slapping him on the back. He's nervous as anything now, because if this guy messes up, like, he's going to cost him third place and ruin his meet for him. But Mark pulls it. And the funniest thing is, you see after, when the white lights come up, you see RJ on the live stream. If you're watching the live stream, he gives Natasha a big hug just out of relief. He just hugs Natasha. So thankful. We're going to talk to Mark at the end. And Mark says, he comes to me, he goes, "Oh, I did 606. And I think he was telling me his total. I was like, "What are you talking about? 600. And then he's telling people, and he goes, "Yeah, that guy from NBPL just came up and told me that I needed more weight. So I just did it." And he didn't even know his name. He just said, "That guy from NBPL." And all of a sudden he's just loading 606 and pulling like 20 kilos or however many more kilos over a second, and 60 pounds more than he ever did in prep. So that was one of those stories where they were just kind of bonded for the rest of the meet, because he had kind of impromptu, like, got him to a YOLO PR, and he did end up finishing third, but he did not need 606 pounds for his pull to do it either. So that was a kind of amusing story that guy from NBPL became a legend in handling all of a sudden.
Yeah, he went from 250 second attempt to 275, 275 third, and realistically had never pulled anything over, 245 before.
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy. That's what he said when he's talking to me after. He's like, "Well, now I know I've been training like a child." And he actually lives in the Moncton area. So I was like, "Okay, you got to go connect with these guys at Los Muchos Established, because clearly you're selling yourself short." And
Yeah,
they could push him a lot further than he had been pushing himself, apparently.
that's awesome. I need somebody to handle me like that at meets.
Well, I mean,
Except for that bench only meet. We won't talk about that, but
don't worry about that. You just need more backs. You just need harder back slaps.
harder back slaps. I've left this is the case for having a handler. Is I've left 3 meets with having experienced people say you should have done more on your third deadlift. And I think that at some point, when I start doing more powerlifting meets again, I will have to have somebody pick my attempts for me, because I think I usually pick a pretty reasonable, 2.5 or 5 kilo PR for my second, and then I should be YOLOing a little bit more on my third.
Yeah, I mean, I guess both ended a meet with a successful attempt and haven't ended a meet with a miss. I can say it obviously feels way better to end the meet with a miss. And there's nothing wrong with having something and, having a successful and having a PR and knowing you have more in the tank. I mean, that's a great place to be, to PR at all your lifts, but have more in the tank as well. It kind of leaves you well positioned for the next meet. But I guess it all depends. But I guess, I don't know. I just can't imagine being in that case and be like, oh, we're going to load 6 of 6. Like, all right, sounds random man I just met 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, because that guy over there that I don't know says I should load 275.
Well, I mean, he knew him from NBPL, just not necessarily his name or why he was all of a sudden very interested in his lifting. But that was pretty funny. And it was amazing because he got it and it didn't even look, I mean, it was very difficult, but didn't even look necessarily like his all-out max.
Awesome. So Cole, that just about wraps up our Easterns recap, except what were your numbers, and did you hit any PRs?
That's what the people want to know.
That's what the people have been asking me about.
What the sixth place
lift at CPU Easterns.
Right. Okay. I did a 195 squat, which tied my best meet PR. And again, I was happy with that. I had been a little more conservative with my attempts just because I wanted a total PR more than anything. And I needed to hit all 3 squats, obviously, to do that. So I just tied the PR, which I hadn't squatted that heavy in a long time. And it's, I guess, the second heaviest squat I've ever done, both in comp. So that was good. Bench PR, I did hit a 2.5 kg meet bench PR. Actually, over 2.5 over what I'd done in a bench only. It was 22 pounds or 10 kgs over what I had actually done in a full meet, because I tend to do terribly at a full meet. But I went 3 for 3 in bench and 292.5, whatever that kilogram is. And then deadlift, I got 535 in my second, and I locked out 551, but I messed up my balance and I kind of tipped over and the bar fell forward. So I did not get 551, but that would have been a 10 pound or 11 pound PR for the platform. But that was my number, and 1256 is my surprisingly enormous total. It was a slight PR for me, but yeah, awesome. Quite a bit beyond ugly Joe Benoit behind.
Yeah, I mean, to wrap up the recap, thanks to all the volunteers and all the lifters that participated. Thanks to meet director Jeff Butt, Joe Benoit, a potato with a bad haircut, pulls out a great squat and a decent bench and deadlift again. Shout out to that guy from NBPL, RJ, for telling another guy that he doesn't know to load 25 kilos more than he just did. Shout out to Danny Sutherland. Always got to shout out to Danny Sutherland. Keep making awesome strongman gear out of used metal that you find. Shout out to Moosehead Breweries, not an actual sponsor, but shout out to Moosehead Breweries. And Cole, thanks for coming on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me. See you around.
All right, I'll be talking to you.